we'll call the December 22nd, 2021 special meeting of the Bethel Board of Fire Commission to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Like I said earlier, I thank everybody for being here on short notice. I know it's a tough time of the year, but Tommy Galliford asked if we could get together and discuss the purchase of portable radios, which we discussed in our last meeting. He's at that meeting, we had asked him to do some research for us to get some more firm information, which he's been able to do for us. And in doing so, he was able to find out that Motorola, which is one of the vendors, has a price discount, which is good through January 15th order date. So we wanted to go ahead and have this meeting as soon as possible so that we could, go ahead and take advantage of that if we wanted to. So what I'm going to ask is for Tommy to go ahead and kind of give us his report findings that he came up with, and then we'll make a motion from there.
Thanks, DJ. Hi, everybody. Just on behalf of the two fire chiefs, I've been working with them to we've been working on this project for a while now. Just a little background, because I don't think Peter and Doug were at the last meeting we had in October, but our portable radios are currently 15 years old. They're Motorola brand. They were bought brand new along with the police department's radios when we upgraded the entire radio system for the town of Bethel at that time. We've tried 3 years of trying to get the FEMA Assistance for Firefighters grant for the portable radios. That would only cover the actual riding positions of each apparatus. It wouldn't cover the officer's radios. Every officer carries a portable as well. So it'll be a smaller number. So 3 years in a row, we tried to get it. And the first year or two, it had to do with the age of the radio, that they weren't considered old enough, but FEMA changed their guidance. Lo and behold, the last 2 years when we applied, the last time was exactly a year ago we applied, and we got the turn down letter like in September. It takes them that long to go through the grant process. And it's based on, they don't really give you an exact reason why, but it's based on a point system of call volume and things of that, and that we don't really show a financial need that the town of Bethel needs to have federal funding to pay for our radios. That's kind of what it comes down to. So fast forward the last 2 years also, we've put it into our capital plans for each fire department to replace radios. We had it in there the same time the police department replaced theirs. For reasons I don't really recall why, but they only purchased police radios at the time. They went ahead to the Board of Finance at some point to request their funds for their radios. So we've been doing a lot of research. We showed the radios, the differences. I mean, the differences, obviously, just think of a cell phone that's 15 years newer than what you had 15 years ago. The technology's changed a lot. The way it's designed and built has changed a lot. The radios now have a lot more safety features built in. They're actually designed for firefighting, whereas the current radios we have really aren't firefighting radios. The temperature ratings of them are different. The Mayday buttons are smaller to access and things like that. So they have a lot of neat features. It comes down to two vendors, Motorola, which we've always used, and then Harris also makes an equivalent radio. So I try to quote out 2 equivalent radios as far as all the different features of them. And Harris is less. And in the end, I sent you an email a little earlier today. I don't know if everybody saw it. But in the end, the price difference is between $15,000 to $20,000. The Harris's are about $15,000 to $20,000 less for an equivalent radio that will be dual band, all the same features. So in doing some research, talking with some fire departments, pretty much, I want to say 90 95% of the fire departments in the state of Connecticut use Motorola. They're kind of the better radio out there. We've always had a lot of luck with them. Harris is new to us. I spoke to the chief in Hamden Fire Department. They purchased a bunch of Harris radios, similar portable radios, like several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. They had a lot of problems with their Harris radio actually syncing up and working correctly with their Motorola base station at their dispatch center. They had a lot of issues with the noise canceling feature on the microphone, which created a lot of problems. And then they mentioned something about the Mayday button, and how the Mayday button was causing their frequency basically to get jammed up and they couldn't use it. So in researching that a little more and talking with the Harris dealer and the Utility Communications, who sells both Harris and Motorola, we think it's one very large safety factor, is that on the Harris radios, there's a Mayday button, right? So it's an orange button. So if a firefighter is in trouble, we're trained to hit that, the call out of Mayday. If nobody acknowledges it, we hit the Mayday button on the radio, and it transmits the signal on the main fire ground channel. So it doesn't matter what channel we're operating on, it goes back to the main fire channel and transmits a signal to our dispatch center and to all the radios. And it shows the identifier of that radio that they have a Mayday. On the current Motorola's that we have, and on the proposed Motorola's, just like they work now, the dispatch center can acknowledge that Mayday, and that will then open up that dispatch channel. That Mayday isn't sent over the airwaves anymore. So now the main channel is able to communicate on. Apparently with the Harris's, from what I understand, I was told by utility that you have to physically turn the radio off. The person that hit the Mayday button, they physically have to shut the radio off and turn it back on. But the Harris dealer communicated that you have to physically push the Mayday button and basically reset the button. So speaking with the two fire chiefs and some of the other officers, we kind of thought of that as a kind of a major operational issue, that if a firefighter hits that Mayday button, that in order to clear that channel and allow anybody to communicate, whether it's the incident commander or the dispatch center, that down firefighter has to manually reset that button on that radio. And Hamden found that out, through their testing and whatnot. So what do you
hey Tom, what are the review, if you could, the channels you'll have on these new radios and who you can talk to?
Yeah, so currently our radios are just single band, so they're UHF. So we'll be able to have VHF in these radios, so we'll be able to communicate with any surrounding town like Newtown, Reading, Brookfield. They're all in the VHF channels. So any UHF, VHF channels, the statewide stocks channels could go in there as well. So they'll be multi-band, which will be a huge plus for us as far as communications on the fire ground and going.
And county?
Yeah, countywide, everything. Yeah, it'll be and they're expensive. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The radios are $4,000 or $5,000 a piece for the radios. Harris is a little less money, but basically our recommendation, and I don't think either chief is on here right now, but in speaking with them, I think they both would recommend the Motorola's over the Harris's. Again, it's a little bit more money. These prices come straight off for both vendors, come from the state bid list. So it's the best price you can get.
Are there infrastructure issues? Are we going to create that? Are we going to have antenna problems and repeater problems and stuff like that?
No, because we're still operating on the same band, right? They're going to be, there's a federal requirement that they have to be digital capable, and they have a P25 capability for interoperability on the federal wide system. So the radios will meet that requirement. The only thing that would have to be upgraded, and we talked about this a while ago with the police department, if we ever went to a digital system, and the police department has mentioned a little bit, maybe in the future will become a digital radio system. Again, these radios are compatible for that. It just would be some infrastructure at the actual dispatch center that would have to be upgraded, not these radios.
And one more, and I'll be done.
Sure.
Do you have dead spots in town right now, or are you covered?
We have a couple, and again, it's really not to do with the portables. It's where the main antennas is. We have an antenna on Spring Hill, We have a couple of voters and repeaters in town, but there's a few dead spots. But nothing, you know, right down by the highway garage, I believe there's one. And then obviously inside some of the larger buildings, there's some areas there. So,
Tom, I can speak for Chief Baker. We had a conversation, and he expressed that he does have the same safety concerns regarding the Harris, and he is in favor of the Motorola as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah. No, go ahead.
I got a couple questions on the Motorola's.
Yes,
On the Motorola proposal, it seems like you have two different radios. You have 54 of one and 18 of another.
Right. So in speaking with the chiefs and some of the officers, it's the APX, the one. So it's a model 1.5 and a 2.5. Basically, that's a display. The 1.5 is very similar to our radios now, where it has a small display. You know, has numeric alphanumeric characters there, where you'll see like Bethel Dispatch or Brookfield Fire. And those will be the ones that'll go on all the riding positions of the apparatus. And then the 2.5, those will be for all the officers for both fire departments. And they have a little bit bigger screen, and I think they have a numeric in there, so you can toggle through to get the different bands and things a little bit easier. So that was kind of a recommendation to go with that style one for the officers, and then the ones that don't have the alphanumeric and the larger display screen for the actual riding positions.
Okay, and then I saw it in the Harris quote, but I didn't see it in the Motorola quote. I don't know. I don't quite understand all the abbreviations on the Motorola quote.
Yep.
I didn't see anything in the Motorola quote for engraving of the radios.
Yeah, so that's included with, and he didn't write it in here, but I double checked with him that with the device programming, that would include engraving. And then there's a separate quote for the install, only because utility would actually do the installation. It's right. This quote from Motorola is actually from their quoting system for their state contract. So they had to supply a separate one for the install.
Okay, and then I don't know, it's not a lot of money, but on the other hand, it is a lot of money. It's like almost $6,800 to install chargers. Seemed like quite a bit of money. Isn't that something that our fleet maintenance department could do, or be in-house? I mean, all the wiring is already there in the apparatus. It's just a matter of screwing the old chargers out and screwing the new ones in, is it not?
Well, no, then the NDOM have to be changed out. And from what I understand, Harris would actually run new wiring for each port, and I believe utility was the same, that they're going to rewire it back to the power board, because it's a different connector on there than our current charger. And I think
I guess the only other question I really have would be is the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance prepared to act on this by the 15th in order to obtain that discount?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Matt a little bit. I told him there's a time constraint, so I'm sure we can get them to do a special meeting quickly. And I know the Board of Finance next regular meeting is January 11th, so it's kind of short. But I haven't spoken to anybody there. I know they have a new chairperson, so I could see if they would have a special meeting for this.
Yeah, I mean, $55,000 discount. That's a pretty
yeah,
significant number.
Just, you know, as you know, everything is just. I guess they already had a price increase. They didn't really tell their vendors that they already had a price increase, so they're kind of holding this. But then there's a significant increase, just like everybody else with items and merchandise and supplies to increase the cost of them. So yeah, so that's a big savings there.
And then I saw there was a $30 allocation for trade-in value of working radios. What are the chief's thoughts on those?
Yeah, so utility will give us $30 a radio, and again, it's a credit, so that credit could be applied to the installation. And Harris was $40 a radio. You know, the town has a excessive equipment auction site that they use. We've sold some other fire department equipment on there. I mean, it may be worth putting it on there for some contractor, some, you know, construction company or something that may buy them for $50 or $60 a radio. Or, you know, there's some talk about keeping some of the radios in-house for fire, police, or just to keep a spare. So whether or not we would get rid of every radio, I just wanted to get at least an idea that, you know, we can offset, you know, $1,500, maybe $2,000 of it, which Isn't a lot, but yeah. And then we get rid of them and we don't have to worry about them sitting in a box down in the basement somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion doesn't, I mean, $30 doesn't seem, you know, I'd rather keep some working radios to, I mean, they could be reallocated to public works, you know, and, you know.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
You know, they're worth more money to the town than $30, you know.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely. Public works are, yeah, that's a good point too for them to use them or somebody, or, you know, or if we got rid of some of them, if we wanted to keep, you know, 40 of them and got rid of the other 30 or something, then, but yeah, so I didn't think we were going to get much money for them at this point. Again, they're 15 years old. They don't make the batteries for them anymore. So there's not a huge markup for them. So, yeah, so I just want to explain kind of the differences in prices. Again, you know, the police department is using Motorola, the schools are using them. The ones we've had for the last 15 years, you know, like I told somebody, the town of Bethel doesn't buy things very often. So we're probably going to keep these for 15 years. So I'd rather go with a radio that is an industry standard and has a great track record and is a company that's been around for a long time. And, you know, a lot of these radio and software companies keep getting bought up by other companies, but Motorola has been around for a long time. And you know,
I don't think, to me anyway, it doesn't come down to the differential. It comes down to the number, right? It comes down to the big number. It's not that extra 5% that's the concerning issue.
Yeah. So again, these prices here, when again in that email I sent you, I think Harris's total was $378. Again, we took the radio straps out. That was like 6,000 or 7,000, and you know, we figured between the radio straps people already have, universal ones, we don't necessarily need a radio strap for every seat in the apparatus. Most firefighters have one, or the fire departments can look at buying. You know, some firefighters like to buy their own radio strap that might be, you know, $100, $150 per strap on their own. So we would just take that out of that, you know, the large purchase to save some money there. And then with Harris too, the original quote, you know, and that's why I had them revise it, is so on the Motorola radio, the microphone, right, the remote microphone has a channel selector on it. So you can actually physically, without reaching into your coat to turn the channel, see what channel you're on, it actually has a channel selector knob on the microphone, and it will actually, as you turn it, it'll make a voice announcement of what channel you're on. The current Harris radio doesn't have that. They're coming out with a microphone that does that in this first quarter of 22. And so that is reflected in that new quote. He originally told me $200 a radio, but I think it worked out to be almost $300 more per radio for that microphone on the Harris quote. So truly the new quote from Harris is $382,469. That includes the microphone that mirrors what Motorola quoted, plus $1,600 for a trade-in value on 40 radios. So it's $382 to $398. So, you know, it's closer to about a $15,000.
I got one more question, Tom. Mm-hmm. The 74 radios, are they all going to be programmed the same? I know that was quite a contentious issue 15 years ago.
That is the plan as far as I know. Yeah, I mean, I see no reason why we would not program all the same way. Definitely, that's going to take a lot of work ahead of time and to plan out how to do it. They're much more complicated as far as the banks and the channels and everything, but we definitely will make them all the same.
You got any questions?
So again, that's kind of the guy that was been working on this project. That would be my recommendation, is go with the Motorola. And it's, you know, I know the two chiefs aren't here, but I think DJ spoke to at least Chief Baker about it, that the Motorola would be our recommendation. You know, based on past practices, past use of them, and like I said, that major issue with that Mayday button that can cause problems, and that's the whole point of getting these, is for firefighter safety, right? To keep us safer in the event we need to use that Mayday.
I will say also, to back you up there, Tom, that since our last meeting, and also since you approached me again about this, I have done some research on that. Reached out to a few departments that tried them, and spoke to some people that, you know, new people that tried them, and all kind of said the same thing, that there were some conflicting issues with the base station, And the major concern was the Mayday. So, you know,
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in going with what works. And, you know, I know that Motorola has been around, you know, for a long time, and they do a good job. So I'm for it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Peter, do you have any questions?
No, it's surprising there was a competitor to Motorola, actually.
Yeah. I think a few of us were. So
yeah. So Harris is nipping at their tails, but it's really just, you know, I don't think there's enough of a price difference to change from the standard.
I agree 100% with you. So with that, thank you, Tom. And, you know, I'd like to make a motion that we recommend to the Board of Selectmen, you know, the purchase of 74 portable radios to include the programming and the vehicle charger installations for the fire department use with an amount not to exceed $400,000.
Second that motion.
Seconded by Fred Ingram. Any discussion on the motion?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sounds like motion carries 4-0. So with that, gentlemen, I appreciate, again, like I said, I apologize for the short notice and the rough time of year, but I hope everybody has a happy holiday, and I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Peter. All right, guys, thank you very much.
All right. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Kathy, thank you for all your help throughout the week.
Cheers.
All right, guys, thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.